We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Suzy Prudden, and welcome to Mastermind Live with Suzy Prudden on LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. And I am so delighted about my guest today. My guest is Jeaninne Weist. She's a cranial sacral therapist. And take a bow. They're clapping for you. And
thank you very much.
She's got a remarkable history. And I've known Jeaninne, about 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years now. Yep, absolutely.
And the more I know her, the more fascinated I am with who she is today and who she's been in her past. So I'm going to hand the floor over to Jeaninne and tell us about cranial sacral therapy and what brought you to it.
Well, that's pretty interesting. You know, I was very ill in my 30s, and that's really how I found. I was looking everywhere for the answer, all out there, you know, looking for the expert that could help me. And the reality is that it wasn't until I found craniosacral therapy that I got relief from my chronic pain. I had something called endometriosis, which, you know, now you can read about in Glamour magazine.
Yes.
But at the time, you couldn't. At the time, it mimics cancer, and everybody was afraid that I had cancer. In fact, twice I was told I had different kinds of cancer. And, you know, that's a hard thing to hear and then say, I think I'll go and get a second and third opinion on that.
You're
just scared out of your mind. So craniosacral therapy, when I found it, because it works with the whole body, and it looks at, instead of looking at symptoms, it's looking at exactly what the core, the crux of the issue might be. That's what it really appealed to me. Very gentle, but very deep and profound work. It saved my life. So it was just a natural.
Do you know what created the chronic pain?
You know, I kind of do know, which is interesting. It took a while and lots of sessions, but I do know it. I was very ill, and my mother had a lot of difficulty having other children after me. In fact, they all were either miscarriages or they died. And so endometriosis deals with what? Reproductive organs. So in some way, I think my body was protecting me from getting pregnant because I grew up as a small child seeing pregnancy not being such a great thing.
No, I would think not.
Right?
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting, and it took me forever to actually own that I actually did that and created that within my body. But I think if we think that we create the best things in our lives, we can't just say, oh, well, I create the good stuff, but, you know, the bad stuff, that's somebody else's fault. Right?
We create it all. And the bad stuff doesn't necessarily end up being the bad stuff.
Right, and that's why my business is called Cranial Alchemy, and it's all about alchemy. It's all about taking, you know, spinning straw into gold, taking something that's one thing and mangling it and mushing it and going, this is not, you know, my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. This is not what I expected, and taking it and making it what you can. Yeah, what you can, and so we all can do that. I think this is a perfect time of year to be talking about transformation and alchemy. You know, it's
change.
Everything is possible. It's happening.
And what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want?
So I love this question.
Okay.
How did a Broadway dancer become a leading expert on cranial therapy and creativity? I have to take an aside to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, Bonnie Prudden, was a Broadway dancer.
Yeah,
and
right.
So when Jeaninne mentioned one day that she'd been a Broadway dancer, I went, really? Because my mother had been a Broadway dancer. And my mother, when she married my father, was told she couldn't be a dancer anymore because women didn't work in my family. And she couldn't do that thing that she loved. And her creativity was literally stopped. And so she kept volunteering for different things. And finally she started teaching my sister and me fitness, which let her do her dance, only she didn't call it dance. It was movement to music.
Right, and that's what we were talking about,
Yes.
that whole idea that, you know, I said there's this old Irish saying, what's for you won't go by you. And it's really true. I mean, it sounds kind of corny, but in your mother's case, there was something inside her she needed to be creative.
Yes.
And when she was told you can't create for family reasons, it wasn't going to just go away. It had to come out. It had to find its way.
It got even bigger and bigger and bigger, and she became the nation's foremost fitness authority. She wrote books. She started the President's
Council.
Council.
I remember, and I remember you. I grew up. I'm from New York. I grew up in New York, thinking Suzy Prudden. Wow, you're on the cover of all these books. No, it's awesome to be a friend and colleague of yours now. It's just awesome. Yeah.
Now I think about it. Thank you.
So we talk about in this work the direction of ease and how important that is. And so obviously your mom, for example, was able to do that. She was able to take her gifts and move it through her body and go, okay, can't do that. What can I do? And she was free enough to do it.
Yes.
A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are restricted, and they have maybe old stories inside their body that are trapped.
That's a fascinating concept. Old stories trapped in your body. Say more about that, because I understand that, but I'm not sure that people who are watching us and listening to this at home understand what that means.
Okay, so when somebody comes to me, I usually ask them, how are you showing up for yourself? And sometimes I get a blank stare, but oftentimes people really know that they need to show up for themselves in order to get the gold, to use that alchemical feeling, that to get the gold out and out into the world, whatever that is, whether it's writing a book or creating a show or raising a wonderful, happy, healthy family. And so when you have old stories that are trapped in your body as energy that is not serving you and not paying rent, what do you... What do you want to do with that? But you have to first know what's running your show. And I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, it could be a family thing. It could be a generational. Oh, in our family, we always do this.
Oh, I hear that all
We
the
never
time.
do that.
It's like the body, because I do so much work with the body. In my family, we all have big hips. Okay, so how long are you going to wear that story?
Right, and so is that a free pass to now gain 300 pounds?
Exactly.
Because I have big hips, so... what can I do? I mean, if you want to gain 300 pounds for some other reason, go have at it. But the bottom line is you really can take those stories and transform them and make them work for you rather than just by default. I mean, most of us are creating all the time, but we're creating by default. And that's not serving us. So if it's your grandmother's voice in your head that's saying, whatever you do, be a good girl, don't do anything more than your dad did, don't get that third degree, or don't, shine your light, basically, right?
What makes you think you can do it?
Right.
It's very often I hear a lot of my clients say, well, I was always told that I could never do it. And I say, well, you can get rid of that story now. And you have processes to help do that because they're trapped in the body. And I have processes that help people do that because they're trapped in the mind. Right. And in the cells.
There are so many people who are living their life from the neck up, and they look at their body as something to pummel into shape or something to drag around, or just to ignore. Some people just sort of leave their body. That's what happens when you get on the 405 and you get home and you don't know how you did it, right?
Yes.
So, no, millions
That's
of people...
why I say it's a good thing the subconscious mind knows how to drive.
Absolutely. Somebody's got to be
Somebody's
watching the
present.
road.
Somebody's got to be present because you've gone.
Right. No, absolutely. Well, that's why, millions of people roll out of bed every day, and they look in the mirror and they say affirmations. And if they work, great. But if they don't work, that's because there's something underneath going on there, right? There's something, if you look in the mirror and say, I am happy, I am whole, I am complete. But inside, your fourth grade teacher is saying, you might as well go to trade school because you'll never make it, don't even bother. Don't worry about this part, honey, because you're not good enough.
Right.
And if that's what you're hearing, you can say, I am happy, I am whole, I am complete till you're blue in the face, and you won't be. It won't be. So you can release energy that's trapped in your body using my Cranial Alchemy system. It's a 4-part system.
Now, is this something that people can do at home? Or is this something that they have to come and see you? I came to see you.
Yes.
Now, that's an experience.
Ooh, tell me.
Well, I didn't know what to expect. I had no clue what to expect.
Right.
It was
but you were open, and that's a
totally
good place
open.
to start.
And I'm coming back.
Yeah.
You start working on my hips, and you started talking about my hip being locked.
Right.
And I thought about it, and I said, well, that's true. And I have, but I hadn't realized it. I mean, I'm a mover. I'm a fitness expert, and I realized that I had stopped moving, but I didn't know as I was locked. And as you were working on me, and I could feel my body shifting, she had me do this great thing. She had me take, I don't even know what you call it, but she has a bunch of stuff. It's like similar to sand painting, where you create a figure of yourself.
Yeah, it's called my transformation circle. Actually, that's one of the free gifts that I'm giving to your listeners today. They can go on and how to make their own transformation circle, so they don't need me. They can do it themselves.
Oh, and this is it's mind-boggling. I have the picture of mine, which I will send to you, and then you can put it up on your website.
Yeah, no, I have. I think I have it, and I think I'm getting ready to put it in my book.
Good, that's wonderful. Thank you. So what happened was, I don't even know how long we were together, but I know in that time there was a massive shift in my body-mind alignment. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just my body. It was the whole thing.
No, it's
shifted.
the integration. That's what this work is about, is the integration. And that's, you can have one or you can have the other, but if you have both together, you're a powerhouse.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened. And then I made this little figure in the beginning, and it was very gray. I mean, it was very dark. Then she said, now, do whatever you want with it right now. So I took all these colors and I looked at it and I took a picture of it. And it was as if it was truly as if I had transformed in that hour.
It was like a beautiful bird, what you did. You had all these beautiful,
colors.
Everything was just a beautiful spiral and beautiful curves and looping into each other. It was the opposite of locked.
It was totally the opposite. It was wide open. Then the interesting thing happened, because I'm working on a book right now. I couldn't stop writing. And I wrote 3 new programs. And all of a sudden, it was like the switch went on. And I saw Jeaninne about a week later, and I said, whatever happened, you turned on a switch, because I can't stop.
Well, you turned on the switch. I facilitated it.
Right.
But that's why it was lasting, too.
Right.
That's why when you go to people and they do something to you, like even just getting a massage, you feel really good. But sometimes by the time you get home, the ache is coming back in your neck. It's coming back wherever it is, right? It's back. So you felt good during the moment, but it's because somebody did something to you. They didn't allow your body to uncover and unfold. And we talk in Cranial about the inner wisdom. And so we say that basically the body can heal itself if we can allow it to. And who really knows?
At its pace.
Right. And then it's real. So we're working not with symptoms, we're working with the crux of what's going on. And if you can really get to that on the cellular level, you can make lasting change. It will last a long time.
Well, I know I'm having a very easy time writing this book.
Yeah.
And it's fun, and it's a sweet book.
Well, if I can take even a tiny bit of credit for that, I am just thrilled
I'll put you in the acknowledgments.
No, I just want a signed copy.
I'll put you in the acknowledgments. No, I did not understand that cranial therapy had to do with creativity.
Oh, absolutely.
When I thought of cranial therapy, I just thought of it as realigning the body.
Right.
But I didn't have a clue as to what would happen for me following that session.
Right. And isn't that awesome? Because it's always something great. I mean, I have yet, after working on hundreds and hundreds of people, I have yet to have somebody say to me, maybe one person, their headache got worse before it got better. But usually people leave feeling renewed. And you are such a creative person, you left feeling extra creative.
Yes.
And I have professional writers come to me and say, I have a deadline, I'm blocked, I don't know what to do. And I remember the first time that happened, Dr. John Upledger, who is credited with discovering craniosacral therapy in the 70s, he says, try it on everything. And the first time a professional writer came to me and said, do you think that weird thing you do could help me? And I was like, let's try it. Let's try it on everything. I hear that in the back of my head, and I'm like, let's do it.
Do it. I'm going to blow my nose for a second, so excuse me.
Oh, okay. I'm really glad to see that your fluids are moving. Because I should also say that in this work, what we do is we work with the fluid body. So people will say, how is it you can put your hands on me and know the things that you know? And, some of it is, yes, over time, your hands become intelligent and you really know what you're talking about and what you're feeling. But, where you're flat out not moving, that's why for you I started on your hips in that session. Because I checked the fluids and where everything was moving through your body, and it was moving really well in your tummy, it was moving really well in your shoulders. Where is it flat out not moving? And that was where I started. And then we uncover this wonderful, the spiral, and turn it into a moving part. And you had some pretty happy hips by the end.
I had very happy hips by the
happy
end.
hips.
I had a happy body.
Cranial sacral therapy will give you happy hips.
Happy hips. It'll
how's
give
that?
you a whole. It's something that I think everybody's got to try, because you do unlock something that the way our lives are structured today, we are really locked in to our lives.
Absolutely. And I would even go so far as to say I think the problem today is fragmentation and disconnection.
Yes, I would agree.
You can say that it's fragmentation and disconnection from your family, from your life. Everybody's texting. Nobody's having a real relationship. You can fire somebody via text. People break up with people via text. There is this disconnection on that level, but on a bigger level, there's a disconnection from the body, from your body. So what I do is I teach people how to have a relationship with their body, so that they can actually, instead of falling down and having your ankle go out from under you 4 times before you pay attention to it, just the first little twinge. My body is speaking to me.
That's so important. Your body talks to you all the time.
Yeah. And most of us just go, oh, well, I can handle that. That's no big deal. Or I'll take this pill. Okay, this is funny. My favorite commercial, and I don't know if it's still on, but there was a woman, and she's with her friends in an Italian restaurant, and she's trying to eat some spaghetti or something that's really heavy with fat and just all kinds of stuff that she shouldn't be eating. And they have the spaghetti slap her in the face. Have you seen that?
No.
So the spaghetti just slaps her in the face, and then she doesn't know what to do, and she's mortified in front of her friends, which is, of course, this is a fantasy. But she takes this pill and is so happy because now she can eat her spaghetti, and it's wonderful. Now, what I think is mortifying is that, if you have a piece of spaghetti slapping you in the face, maybe you don't want to eat that piece of spaghetti. I mean, maybe that's not right for you, and your body's telling you. I mean, it's a joke, but it isn't.
No, it's not a joke.
It isn't, and I see that, and I think, okay, so you took that pill, and all you did was mask a symptom, and sometimes that's what people do with their health care.
Well, I know a lot of people, for example, who have back problems, who mask it with a lot of painkillers.
Right, and
the
then
back doesn't get well.
No,
it only gets worse until surgery. And what I want to do is, what you want to do is to keep people from having to go into that realm. The body can heal itself.
It can, but if we allow it, if we give it the space
and if
to.
we listen.
Right. There's a wonderful quote by Dr. John Upledger that says, what we do is take away obstacles like removing stones from the road. So your road is your spine, it's your body, and the stones are trauma that has come through your life that has lodged itself somehow. When trauma comes in, any kind of negative energy, any kind of positive energy, but that we're happy when the positive energy comes in, right?
Right.
It's just the negative energy. So when you have negative energy that comes through your body, there are 3 choices. It can either go right through you, pass easily through you if you're the Dalai Lama. It can go through you just for a moment, and then somehow something happens and you're able to release it on your own if you're lucky. But for most of us,
it gets stuck.
It gets lodged in our body. We don't know what to do with it. We're feeling this chaotic energy, and we're thinking, okay, I don't like this. This feels bad. What do I do with it? I don't know. Oh, I'll put it over here. And maybe you put it over in your shoulder. And you go, I'll come back to this, at some time later when I can handle it. And you don't. And maybe over time you put how many traumatic, energetic, chaotic pieces of energy in your shoulder. And then one day you're 40 years old and you wake up and you have a frozen shoulder and you wonder why.
Yeah. I totally understand it, because I used to carry all my stress in my back. Mm-hmm. And I used to end up in terrible, terrible spasms. And I don't do that anymore. I don't know how I learned to release it.
Right.
But I did learn how to release it.
Well, you're also very in touch with your body, and you're also now in touch with your body with all the work that you've done throughout your life on other levels.
Right.
So it's physical, it's metaphysical, and then also I like to work on the metaphorical level, which is really the yummy.
Say more about that.
Super yummy. Well,
the
metaphorical level is myth. right? It's
Yes.
the place where it's the reason why even when you're a grown up, you might want to put a tiara on or a Christmas hat on or a star on your head, just for fun, and it feels good and it resonates throughout your body. And why is that? Because there's that time when we are all connected to myth, and we can look at our lives mythically and sort of pull back and see a larger picture than just whatever it is that's in front of us right now.
Yeah.
So, the mythological, for me, I know, for example, I don't have to wear glasses anymore. And I used to go to the eye doctor every year. I had astigmatism as a child. I had to wear those weird glasses where one eye was red color, the lens was red colored. It was awful. And then, as I got older, I made a choice to have fabulous, really odd glasses. And I made it like makeup, just really like, I'll wear fabulous glasses. And last year I went in to see my eye doctor, and he said, Jeaninne, you're struggling here with 20/30 vision. And I was like, seriously? And he said, yeah, what have you been doing? And I realized that I couldn't tell him because I would have to be speaking on the mythological level, which is I've been doing all this work on myself, all this work on hundreds of people, and I'm seeing much better.
Oh, that's interesting. You just started to see.
So
just like I came in today and the music was very loud in the green room, and I turned
immediately
it down.
needed to find a way to turn it
I
down.
needed to find, because I'm so auditory now,
Right.
which is I used to be highly visual. I'm still highly visual, but I wasn't as auditory. And you looked at me, you're so cute, and said, well, of course you're sensitive. You listen for a living.
Right. Well, sometimes you need somebody else. Sometimes you're so involved in your life, you need somebody else to point something out to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, for sure. Well, no, and I think that those old stories too, are something that it can be something that happened to you last week that you didn't know how to deal with. But I can give you, with this work, we can develop, and I can give you transformational tools so that you can walk into a situation and have something thrown at you that you can't handle, or that's ugly or awful or just mean or cruel, and you can reorganize around it without being triggered. Because let's say there's an old story that goes back to a bully or somebody hurting you at a younger age. You get triggered and you're like, wait a minute, that's bad. And you're thinking, wait a minute, I don't talk like that. That's not an adult way to talk. What am I doing? But if the trauma came into you when you were 10 years old, let's say the bully situation,
it's still there.
You're taking it in. Yes, and you're taking it in at that level.
Yeah.
It's still there at that level. So when you release it, it makes sense that you might say something like, you're an old meanie. Or whatever, I mean, that's maybe what I would have said, but, right?
Well, what I do with my clients is I tell them to wear a rubber suit. Now, when I was a kid, we had a saying, I'm rubber, you're glue. Anything you say to me bounces off me and bounces back to you. So I tell my clients to put on that rubber suit.
Right.
And when they have someone in their life who is mean or nasty, I say it inside, don't say it out loud. I'm rubber, you're glue. Anything you send to me bounces off me and sticks to you. Literally, within 3 months, the situation changes.
Wow.
And so I don't do hands-on work.
Right.
I work at a different level, but I can say, so then if we teamed up, for example, and did your hands-on work and my mind work, it would be unbelievable what would happen.
Yeah, no, we'll have to talk about that. Okay. I know that's why I have psychotherapists refer some clients to me, because they might be on a hamster wheel with a certain issue that they just keep coming in and talking about the same thing, understanding it cognitively, but not being able to translate it into what that means for their body. Some of them are just numb in their body. Most of us can go through life numb in our bodies.
Right.
It's very easy to do. Just be a talking head, just, be on the computer and create everything, your whole life and all your relationships via internet.
Yeah.
And that's really unhealthy. So I have people work in a sensory way. I'll ask them things like, does it have a shape? Does it have a texture? If it were a song, what would the title of the song be? They're usually country songs.
Really?
Well, I mean, in advanced classes that I've been in with their other therapists, just think about a country song as, I'm broke. They stole my dog. She left. My truck
is broken.
Yeah, my truck is dying. I've got one tire, right? And when you think about it, we have those stories that we tell, our life stories. I mean, certainly If you come in feeling like a victim, your song is definitely going to be a country western song.
Well, I have a system in my office where if someone has a story and they tell it more than once, I say, you can't tell that story anymore. I had one client, when I told her that, she said, well, who will I be if I can't tell my story? I said, that's what we want to find out.
Right. But, sometimes people can't do it cognitively, and you shouldn't be made to feel bad because you can't just work it all out in your head. Because
you can't.
Yeah. And you know what's fascinating? This is an interesting thing. I've been doing a lot of research on the enteric brain, which is actually your gut, and it's your second brain. It's really interesting how your brain operates, this gut brain operates, and nobody really talks about it very much. I think it's starting to, one of those things that in this next year will come forward more. But it's, people talk about trusting your gut, really loving,
that's the intuition.
Absolutely. But what's very interesting is your gut is the only part of your body that does not answer to your neocortex, your left brain. It's the only part of your body that doesn't directly respond and isn't controlled by.
That's fascinating.
So basically what it means is it's flying under the radar. It's like a rogue operative, right? And it's flying under the radar, and it only, on an as-need basis, lets you feel what's going on, which is usually stomach distress, digestive issues, right? But isn't that interesting that you actually have this other part of your body that's completely telling you, in some cases, the truth
all the time
that your brain story is not telling you. Your brain story is telling you,
Well, it's like when you walk into a room. Saying the affirmation. It's like when you walk into a room and your gut says, I don't want to be here.
Oh, absolutely.
And you say, oh, no, it's fine.
Absolutely.
And then the gut says, I don't want to be here. Oh, no, it's a lovely group. I don't want to be here. And 2 hours later, something really terrible happens and you leave. But,
and that's really true, because when you think about people, one of the workshops that I give is being able to tell the energy inside your body versus the energy outside of your body. So when you walk into that room that you were just talking about, you can tell, is it the people in the room? Is it one person in the room that's just sucking the air out of this whole room, and we all know those people? Or is there actually something about the space? Maybe somebody died there, maybe some people just had a huge fight in that room. So you're able to tell the difference, and that's a huge plus.
It's almost like a premonition, too, because it doesn't have to necessarily do with the immediate people in the room or the immediate situation, but somehow we know what's coming.
Well, part of us does.
Well,
and so the whole point
does.
is if you're in touch with it, or if you're taking that pill and letting spaghetti slap you in the face, which is another option that I don't recommend.
Too many people get slapped with spaghetti. So tell me how you're working on a book, and you have this four process.
I have a 4-part system. In the first, I teach it in workshops throughout the year.
Do you do it online as well as in person?
I don't right now, because I think the in-person part is important right now. But my 3-month program does incorporate some work online, just to be able to have everybody get what they need. But I think it's really important for people, when you're talking about grounding and having a touchstone, which is the first part of my cranial alchemy system. Grounding and having a touchstone, it's really important to sort of see what the other people in the group are doing, are coming up with, seeing how you react to them. There's one exercise that I do in a group with the grounding and touchstone piece, where I have them stand opposite each other at the farthest ends of the room, and slowly one person will walk towards the other one, and the other person will hold up their hand when they feel that person is in their space.
Wow.
And what it does is for everybody else in the room to look around and see that some people will be as close as we are,
right,
and still feel cool with everything.
Right.
Some people, one person takes one step and they're like, oh,
that's enough. Yeah.
You're in my space.
Interesting.
And you can learn a lot, so that's why I think being in the actual room and seeing how other people in the group are responding.
We're going to hold it right there.
Sure.
We're going to take a break. We've got some information that you have to hear that's coming up while we're taking a break. This is Suzy Prudden on Mastermind Live on LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. We'll see you in a bit.
You are now tuned into LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Are you ready to enjoy the Maui lifestyle? You can have it all by owning real estate on the Paradise Island of Maui. Dennis Rush, a 22-year Maui resident and real estate broker, brings his wealth of experience and market knowledge to add value to your Maui real estate understanding, providing a level of service as unique and exceptional as the island of Maui itself. The magical island of Maui was voted the most exclusive resort island in the world by Condé Nast Traveler, and keep in mind, Maui is only a simple, non-stop flight away. Hawaii Business Magazine Top 100 Realtors awarded Dennis Rush the 2011 fourth top realtor on the island of Maui. Go to www.dennisrush.com to view all of the amazing properties currently available in the Maui MLS system. Whatever your needs or desires, Dennis Rush will provide a private consultation for any Maui properties your heart desires. You will be in good hands. Once again, go to www.dennisrush.com. That's www.dennisrush.com. Contact Dennis today to start your Maui lifestyle now. Dennis Rush, proud sponsors of the Dawn Christie Show and LA Talk Live.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hey, this your girl, Paris, straight from the Cousins, and you can join us every Monday at 8 p.m. here live, bringing you some great entertainment for those ears, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Back. I'm Suzy Prudden, and welcome back to Mastermind Live with Suzy Prudden and my guest, Jeaninne Weist, who is a cranial sacral therapist. That's a mouthful. We were talking about people in your space when they get too close, whether it's you, whether it's them. And it's funny because when people say you're in my space, it never really occurred to me until this conversation now. Mm-hmm. That space could be 6 feet away, it could be 10 feet away, it could be 2 feet away, but it's real.
Absolutely, it's real. And it means something different to each person. So in other words, for some people it could feel like an attack. Right. For other people it could just feel like, oh, I'm not good enough. There's always the I'm not good enough piece for a lot of people. So you get a chance in these workshops to really see what is driving this. Is it the other person? Or is there something I can actually do about it? And of course, we're always more empowered when we think that and we know that there's something that we can do about it, rather than playing the victim role and just saying, oh, well, it's up to, if these people in the room were better people or more like me, and then you'll never be happy because you have to have all these shoulds that other people need to do in order for you to be able to really flower and be who you are. And of course, we know that that's just a major fallacy.
Well, I always know that if I'm uncomfortable in someone's presence, I look at what's making me uncomfortable.
Right.
And then I have to look at where that quality is in me. Because
and isn't that just so annoying? That whole idea that someone might be mirroring a piece of you that you've
no, I don't find
distanced yourself from.
I don't find it annoying. I find it actually liberating.
Oh well, yes, it is. I was being a little facetious there.
Yes,
but
it's like when clients come to me and they start telling me the stuff that's going on in their lives, and I go, "Oh no, this is what I got to be working on," because the client that sits in the chair in front of me it's going to be saying something that I got to look at inside myself. My teachers have always said, whoever the client is in front of you, that's you looking back at you. You got to look at what they're saying.
Something is being reflected back to you.
Yeah,
I know. I feel that way when I get like 12 people come in with neck issues, and for us, this is called the avenue of expression, and so I'll be like, okay, what is it that I'm not expressing? This is not 12 people in a row with neck issues is not a coincidence. I mean, I don't believe in coincidence anyway.
I don't either.
I know you don't.
I don't either.
Yeah.
So you have some offers for our viewers.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would love for you to tell them about them and how to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And before you do that, I think it's probably a good idea if you all had paper and pencil ready so that when Jeaninne gives you this information, you can write it down and act on it because she's a genius. And I've done work with her, and it really did liberate a part of my beingness to allow me to write the book I'm writing right now in the way I'm writing it, which is, I've never written a book like this one before, and I'm having fun. So
I love the title. I love the whole idea of it.
Yes, me too. Fit for Life Over 60. And then somebody said to me, why not make it fit? I had a different title, Over 50. And I said, There's a very big difference between 50 and 60.
Huge.
Yeah. And a very big difference
and
between...
I can understand why somebody would say that they're thinking, a larger audience. But you want your audience. You want that,
I want my audience.
That niche of those people who are underserved in that area.
And the
big time.
And the 50-year-old will not receive it as the 60-year-old would.
Of course they won't.
And now that I'm almost 70, which I think is a trip, it's even
That's
more...
That's exactly what it is. It's a trip.
It's a trip. That's right.
Yeah.
It definitely is a trip. And I'm looking at it and I'm realizing how gentle it can be. I was not brought up to experience it as gentle.
Right.
And so I am changing it so that it can be gentle for those of us who are moving into our 70s and 80s.
That's fantastic, and that's also such a cranial concept too. The idea of going in the direction of ease rather than making things harder, or thinking that they can't be valuable if they were easy. They have to be hard in order to have value, or it must be better. And it's not about that. We're not moving into a linear time in this world.
Oh no!
And we cannot be linear with our bodies. We can't be pushing ourselves to do certain things if our body is screaming at us, don't do that.
Well, that's why I tell my clients when they're working with a trainer that it's causing them pain. And I'll say, you might want to change trainers.
Right.
And the trainer then says, no, you have to hurt. No, you don't. I ask my clients who, some of them in their 40s or 50s or 60s or whatever, are you going for the Olympics?
Yeah, what are you judging your level of awareness and fitness by? Even if you're judging it, never mind the Olympics, if you're judging it by who you were at 25.
Well, as I say,
that ability, you're different, and in some ways you've marinated nicely, and you're
exactly
richer in lots of other ways.
Yeah.
Maybe your muscles don't contract as easily, but so what?
Exactly.
I say.
I agree. So tell us about what you have to offer people, and tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, the 2 free gifts that I'm giving you are 30 Days to Fearless Creativity, which is an exercise you can do on your own. And then I'm also giving you what we talked about earlier, the Transformation Circle, which is based on Native American healing techniques. And making your own is in itself a meditative type of process. And so those 2 things are there for you to just download right away. And please contact me if you're interested in discovery sessions. Every once in a while, I open up my practice to new people, and I do discovery sessions, and I have 10 slots available. And so if you'd like to apply for those, because they are free and they're a half an hour of you and I talking about your concerns and your issues and seeing how we can solve and break through.
Are these in person or on the phone?
They're on the phone. And so I do ask you to just please say, hi, Jeaninne, I listened to the show and I'm interested in a discovery session. And then someone will send you the paperwork with the application, which is basically 3 simple questions. I just want to get a sense of where you are with your body. And actually, we'll be going through a couple of questions from my Cranial Alchemy quiz that's going to be part of my book. We'll go through a couple of those questions just for you to sort of allow the ripple effect to take place and see how you respond to that, so you can see how your body actually is in tune with you and how you, more importantly, are in tune with your body. And the third thing that I'm offering that's really amazing is it's a rare opportunity. I have another advanced therapist who I met in Bali last year when we were working on some handicapped children in the water. It was an amazing experience. And she's here for 2 months. And so we're offering multi-hands together. And as you may know, have you ever experienced that? It's very powerful. It can accelerate your healing, and it's an amazing experience. So for January and February, I have made space in my calendar for us to do those sessions together. But again, obviously, it's 2 people. So coordinating that, we need to know if there's any interest. So when you send me a message at cranialalchemy.com, that's cranialalchemy.com, please let me know if you're interested in having a discovery session or if you'd like to know more about the multi-hands work. I'd also love to know if you do make your own transformation circle. I'd love to know what kinds of discoveries came up for you in terms of that. Some people have resistance to it at first and think, oh, this is stupid, or this isn't for me, or I don't see the connection between this and my head, neck, or back pain, or whatever it might be. And if you do it every day, it's like anything. It takes 21 to 30 days, they say, to create a habit, change a habit. So if you can make this bring this lovely, gentle, wonderful habit into your life, you will see how wonders can be achieved. So once again, it's cranialalchemy.com.
It's www.
Yeah, www.cranialalchemy.com.
You can always contact me, Suzy Prudden, at Gmail. Or call my office, 310-640-8885, and I can put you in touch with Jeaninne. Or you can take advantage of a half-hour consultation with me, too. So, there's ways to get in touch with us and take advantage of this woman's offer, because
it's about showing up for yourself.
Yeah,
so
and it's really about healing.
Who's going to, right?
Well, that's right. It's that simple. Let me give you this. So hopefully you've gotten your paper and pencil, and that you will answer these questions, because they may surprise you, and nobody's there but you, unless someone is, and you can tell them to go away. These questions are for you, about you.
Right. So basically, we're looking at your body as literally being your figure of speech. So when you think about the words that you use to answer these questions, know that your body is listening to you deeply as well. Okay? It's not just a cognitive. In fact, I'm trying to get you out of your left brain with this.
The body listens to everything.
Absolutely.
And there is no picture in the mind for you, he, she, it, they, or we. The mind only hears I, and the subconscious mind has no sense of humor. So if you're sarcastic about your body, you're hurting yourself.
You'll feel it.
Yeah, you will.
If not today, you will feel it soon.
Yeah, you will.
So the first question, there are 8 questions. The first question is, what part of your body do you love without reservation? You know?
Well, I know what part of without reservation are my feet.
Your feet.
I have the most beautiful feet.
Well, I love that you knew right away, because the second question is, how long did it take you just to answer question 1?
It was a millisecond.
And that's awesome. That's really awesome, because you're keyed into how you feel about yourself and what's wonderful about your body. A lot of people at home might still be thinking, I don't know, unconditionally, would I love unconditionally? Well, I kind of like, my ears, but I don't know about unconditional. I don't want to go that far.
I used something similar in a workshop one time, and one of these was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women. She said, well, the only thing I can think of that I like are my eyebrows.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
And you got to, exactly right. You got to, I said, so start there. So when because I have all kinds of issues with, yes, I could lose weight, and yes, I could do this, and yes, and this, and this. But boy, I have the best feet, and they take me everywhere.
And that's an absolutely great answer. I love that. That's just juicy. And
Do you want to see them?
It's so you absolutely. Oh my God. And she has great shoes too, folks. By the way, look at these shoes. They're pretty awesome.
I mean, that's a great foot.
That is a great foot. Yeah.
I have my mother's feet. Only mine are bigger.
Is your big toe bigger than your second toe?
No, I have a bigger second toe, which means
something fabulous.
Well, actually, it could mean that I would have. I don't know. I have great feet. No, it's about the same size. But I have a fabulous arch. I can point my feet.
Well, from having been a dancer, you smash your feet into toe shoes.
Oh yeah, I did that.
I have no idea what my feet looked like when I had birth because they've been so mangled over the years. Toe shoes. How natural is that? Completely
I did toe shoes for about 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky I stopped toe shoes. Yeah. When I taught fitness, I always taught barefoot. And when I saw in the 80s,
well, that's great. Pachamama, closer to the earth.
Closer to the earth, and your feet really get to move. And then as soon as you put these running shoes on, you're in a box.
You're constricted,
totally
and it's not your box.
It's not your box. That's great.
I'm going to jump. Actually, I'm not going to do all of these questions because there is one where I talk about, obviously what part of your body frustrates you the most, and then to become very aware of how long that question takes, because usually people know that right away. They have no problem with what frustrates. They know that before you finished asking the question. They're like, which one should I pick? Yeah. They're all vying for first place. But I talk about how you move, and moving like an octopus is much more of a natural way of moving. So really being able to go in any direction that you need to, and that speaks to what you were just talking about, the shoe. As soon as I put that shoe on, someone's telling you you've got limitations.
Yes. Yeah.
So the more that you can move, and so if you could have a conversation with a part that you don't like and explain your frustration, what would that conversation sound like? So that's a very interesting question.
So
to give a voice to that part.
Yes.
Give a voice to that part and flesh it out. Sorry. But anyway, flesh it out with as much detail as possible. So for example, let's say you're angry at what's something, do you know what you're angry at?
That I'm angry at now?
Or a part of your body that you're frustrated with.
Well, right now I'm frustrated with my belly.
Okay.
It's bigger than I want it to be.
Okay.
But I also know that that's not my belly's fault.
So if your belly could talk, would it have an accent? Would it have, would it be telling you, what would it be telling you?
It's telling me to
tearful
exercise.
Monologue? Would it be a loud argument?
No, it's not a loud argument. It's just sort of, Suzy, you know what to do. You know what to do. Just do it.
And it's on board with it, right?
No, my whole body's ready.
Okay.
I just have to do it. That the music's set. All I have to do is press play.
So if you were to have that conversation, it would be a gentle conversation, right?
I have a really good relationship with my body. The parts that I like.
With your belly now?
Well, with all of my body. Even the parts that I'm not crazy about.
Okay.
I mean, my body and I are friends. We're not enemies.
Right. Right.
Now, there was a time when I used to have an adversarial relationship with my rear end, and we were enemies.
Okay.
But I had to change my thinking about that.
I think a lot of people would say, oh, yeah, me too.
I use it in my workshops all the time as an example of how you can change it by changing your thinking about it. And again, it's like what you just said, have a dialogue. We can have a dialogue with every single part of ourselves.
Absolutely. And you're an expert at this, and I do this and show people how to do this every day.
Yes.
But there might be people out there who are listening to this who are saying, I can't do this. I can't connect to this. I cannot tap into this. I don't see where this is going. Some people are still stuck in their left brain.
Right.
Their neocortex is running their show and saying, this is the way it is. Maybe this is the way bellies should be right now.
Well, this is the way mine is right now. But it's okay. Let me ask you: do you have a process to help people connect?
Absolutely.
What is that?
Well, it's my 4-part process, and I teach it in 4 separate workshops. So first we're doing grounding and finding a touchstone. And a touchstone is so that when you do have incoming, you can go to an inner place and respond to that with your touchstone, which really can be anything except a photograph. The only thing that doesn't work is a photograph because it's kind of a moment frozen in time,
Right.
and we're looking to go with the fluid. We're looking to be fluid with
When you say
things.
incoming, what does that mean?
Like incoming, whether it's input, whether it's trauma, whether it's just too much information. You were talking about going to a specific place that you go to where it's just chaos and energy and lots of people with lots of different things that they want, and it's very easy to lose sight of what you want or what you're there for and what you're there to do.
So I take time away.
Right, but let's just say you couldn't leave. Let's just say you're there and you have to make a presentation. If you had a touchstone, you could ground yourself and put your whole central nervous system in a new place. A
Give
new
me an
happy
example
place.
of a touchstone.
Well, it could be an actual stone. It could be an artifact. When you do your transformation circles, it can be something that you find in nature that you use for that. For some people, it's a necklace. For you, it might be a ring. I see you wear fabulous rings. If you had something that meant something to you about your mom, and a specific, wonderful time with your mom, not something mixed with sorrow or sadness. For some people in their office, maybe they'll hang an old sweater from college that reminds them of, some wonderful award that they won. And they'll never wear that sweater, and maybe it's threadbare, but just the fact that they can go in their office, close the door, and see it, their nervous system immediately drops down. And that's what we're looking for. I mean, I didn't even bring that up in this whole conversation, but craniosacral therapy is working on your nervous system. And when your nervous system isn't happy, ain't no other system in the body that's happy.
Right,
yeah.
right. Your nervous system is really...
So touchstone is a way to bring yourself back down into yourself, which is what the whole point of this is to be in your body. It's inner reconnaissance. It's inner work. In the end, it's an inside job. You can't.
Oh, yes.
You can look for all the experts out there who will fix you. But if somebody comes into my office and says, fix me, I say, I can't. You can fix you, and I can facilitate that.
Yep.
But you need to show up for yourself.
Yeah, I always say you're not broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's inside of you. I'll facilitate it.
Right.
But it has to come from inside.
Absolutely.
Always.
And it happens usually in a non-linear way, which is why when people say, gee, you've had such, an interesting background and you've put together craniosacral therapy and creativity and, who's doing that? And there really are very few people in the world and nobody else that I know of in America that is focusing on craniosacral therapy and creativity. But by bringing in these exercises and everything that I've learned from, when I went to college in the 70s, it was a school, school without walls, make your own curriculum. And it was, learning Gestalt and all these different modalities and different philosophies that were all about a free expression, which is wonderful. But what do you do when you feel bound up, which I think a lot of people do.
A lot of people do.
What do you do? And so, yes, you need, as you said, you do need a system and you need a way of showing up for yourself regularly and making it a habit, because it can be scary at first. It can be scary at second. I mean, it can just be scary in general to really, what is that quote about, who are you to not be as wonderful as, to dare to be as wonderful as you are? Who are you not to be? I think it's Gandhi or somebody like that. But yeah, absolutely. We're not going to go through this whole quiz, but once again, if you're going to contact me for either the discovery session or the multi-hands,
say them how to do that again.
You can also ask me for the quiz, and I'll send you. That is not something you can instantly download on the website, but just go to cranialalchemy.com, CRANIAL, alchemy, ALCHEMY.com, and mention that you didn't quite, you were kind of curious about the quiz and you'd like to see it, and I'll send you the
quiz is
whole thing.
Something that teaches you about you.
Well, it's something that you do at the beginning of the 30 days and that you do at the end. It's kind of like the transformation circle. So you get to see, you came in, you were looking for, okay, what's gray? I'm feeling kind of gray. I'm going to use the gray stuff, whatever that is. And of course, that's hard to do because I have a lot of really colorful, fabulous macaw feathers.
Perfectly gray.
Yeah, and then at the end, you were this kaleidoscope
this Christmas tree.
You were a kaleidoscope of color at the end.
Right.
So, yeah, everything is designed with a before and an after. So you can really chart your progress. You can really see how you're doing, how, what connections, new connections you're making. What part, you might find the parts of your body that you are numb to now have quite a lot to say to you. And don't be surprised if they come forward and are, and some of them do have accents. So you were saying, oh, how sweet. But I mean, I had one guy that I worked on, and he had a little man with a bowler hat on who had a Australian accent, and he's not from Australia. He doesn't never been there.
Oh, how funny.
And that was what his construct was, to work through whatever that piece that he was working through, that move that trauma on through, because you do have a choice. You can change it, you can release it, or you can give it a new job.
That's what I did to fear. I gave it a new job.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating.
Right.
Because I wrote fear a letter with my right hand, and fear answered me with my left hand.
Oh, that's great.
And I did this whole thing with fear, and then fear told me I had to talk to the committee. So then I had to talk to the committee, because there's a committee in all of us.
Right.
And the committee, that was so funny, said, we have to discuss it. Go to the office. We'll tell you tomorrow. So this whole dialogue.
Can you put it in writing? Can you send a memo?
No. Well, it was in writing because I wrote them. Dear committee.
Right. That's awesome.
And the next day I said, well, committee, have you made up your mind? Yes, fear can be now your empower. And my fear level went from, it was about 80%. I was going through some really tough times with my other office, to about 20%. And my empowerment went from about 30% to 90%. I could literally feel it in my whole body.
And people hear stories like that and they think, wow, that's just, that's you because you do this work all the time. And no, I mean, I think both of us have seen in our practices people come in and really transform that energy and really be able to create beautiful things. And I see it all the time. I see it even if it's not just on the physical level. We're talking about metaphorical and metaphysical, but even just on the physical level, where we can have somebody come in and say, I've had headaches, I don't know what to do, nobody can help me, and then in one session the headache is gone. It's not magic. It's just you showed up for yourself. You had an intelligent pair of hands facilitating what needed to be brought to your attention. And then you're able to make decisions, not this is what it should be, but this is what it is. What would I like it to be? And, have at it. Go for it.
It always has to start with this is what is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do anything.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And there is no make wrong and there is no broken. There's just somehow this has occurred. Now let's shift it.
Right.
And so you have 4 things in your program. What you told us what the first one is. What is the second one?
The second one is working with energy in and energy out. So it's basically what's yours, what belongs to the other person. It's a continuation and a deepening, but really you work with a partner and you actually, we would sit across from each other and I would put my hands, say, on just above your knees. And you would tell me when you felt that I was putting energy into you, when I was pulling energy out of you, and when I was being neutral. Just so that you can see what neutral is, which a lot of people don't do. They just jump from high emotion, high drama to the next high drama. But if I put my hand on your knee and I do something like this, you might say, well, I feel like you're putting energy in. And then I go like this. You might go say, I'm pulling energy out.
Yeah.
For some people, I go like this and they think, oh, you're putting energy into me. And you have to learn how to work with people in that way, right?
It's also
maybe you need to work off body with certain people, right?
Right.
That's how defended their whole nervous system is.
Yeah.
And once again, you don't make it wrong. It's just you meet people where they are.
Always.
Yeah.
I always say start with where the muscle is.
Right.
To get to where you want the muscle to be. You start with where the person is to get where you want to be.
Right. And we're actually also going underneath that muscle and finding that crux of it.
Right.
Yeah,
well, you go deeper.
That river.
Yeah.
That
you
river,
go deeper.
The fluid. Yeah. So so this is kind of cool. I mean, do you ever give any thought to moving like an octopus?
Well, as soon as you said it, I could feel it. I could feel the fluidity, as you say.
Right, because that's really what it's all about. We came out of the water.
Right.
Originally, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
When I teach movement, people ask me what's different about your exercises. I said I teach full range of motion movement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always fluid.
Right.
And the body loves to move that way.
It's almost like an innate sense that your body has. It remembers, like, oh, right, this is the way we moved. This is the way it used to be. And getting in touch with nature is hugely important.
And go barefoot whenever you can.
And go barefoot. Or wear shoes like Suzy is, because they're pretty cool.
They are cool. So I'm really glad you joined us today and joined my guest, Jeaninne Weist. I'm Suzy Prudden. This is Mastermind Live. You're listening to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.